Alrighty, everyone, let's kick off today's workshop. So my name is Brittany Perry. If you've heard or seen me before, whether it is virtual or in an in-person activity, I've been with the county for about 6 years now, and I coordinate the employee wellness program. I'm sure you've ran into my other fabulous teammates. We are so happy with this month's wellness theme, and that is all about emergency preparedness. I'm sure you've seen some sort of indication that that is the case. We've been advertising it like crazy. I want to plug some activities that we've done thus far this month and then some that you can look forward to. So this last week we had 2 CPR trainings, which was fantastic. And last night we had a self-defense training that was hosted at the Sheriff's Office building, which was a phenomenal experience for those that attended. And then some of the additional experiences that we have coming up that you can definitely still participate in is our live mindful moment that is tomorrow. And that's all about Steady in the Storm, which will be guided by Megan Matson. She is our mindfulness guru here at Employee Wellness, and always such a wonderful time to tune into those. We also have a QPR session coming up. So just like CPR, QPR can save a life. QPR is a suicide prevention training. It stands for Question, Persuade, and Refer. And if you're interested in learning more about that, you can reach out to our employee wellness email and we can get you signed up for that training coming soon. And then 2 more things that I would just want to mention before moving on to today's topic, situational awareness, is we've got 2 workshops that you can tune into is our Emergency Management 101. This will be hosted by our internal emergency management team, and that will be on the 23rd, 12 to 1. And then on the 25th, we have 2 activities. One is a virtual workshop, and it's all about financial health and how that coincides with emergency preparedness. And then we have a awesome first aid kit activity where you can come see us at the Government Center cafeteria to build your own first aid kit. And that is an open house. It shouldn't take more than 5 to 10 minutes to do that if you're interested. And that's 11:30 to 1 and on the 25th. So without further ado, let's dive into today's topic that I feel super passionate about, situational awareness and how this ties into emergency preparedness as a whole. So situational awareness is the ability to perceive what's happening around you, understand what it means, and then anticipate how it might change in the near future. In other words, it's being fully aware of your environment and the people in it, and then the potential risks or opportunities that may arise. And I'm sure that situational awareness isn't a new topic for most of you, but today I want to talk about how we can increase our situational awareness, what it looks like when maybe we're not as involved with it, and then some tools to sharpen those skills. So let's talk about why situational awareness is important. First and foremost, safety and risk management. This ultimately helps prevent accidents that happen to us or threats by recognizing danger early, right? So noticing a pedestrian walking near a crosswalk, keeping your head on a swivel, being able to see those things that may happen before they happen to avoid those risks and ultimately provide safety to everyone, especially yourself in those situations. Another one is decision making. We ultimately always want to be better at decision making, and better situational awareness leads to faster and more accurate decisions under pressure. I know myself, even as of recent, have had to make decisions under pressure, and being situationally aware can ultimately help assist us in making those choices. A couple more, work efficiency, right? Who doesn't want to be efficient at work? And in our high stake jobs, and several of us have those within the county, right? Awareness prevents errors and improves coordination with tasks, right? With those day-to-day tasks, but also those big execution opportunities. Is that situational awareness will help us kind of predict perhaps what may happen in certain situations. Ultimately, I feel like we're here about personal security, right? We want to be alert, and being alert reduces our vulnerability to crime or unexpected hazards that may arise. Ultimately, situational awareness is crucial because it helps us stay safe, right? It helps us make smarter choices and respond effectively to dynamic environments, which we find ourselves in and day out. I have in a couple of slides, we're going to talk about some real life examples and what situational awareness, having good awareness, can look like and the reasons for that. So stick with me. This next slide, however, I've got a couple experiences built into this presentation today. So follow with me, whether if you're on your phone or on your computer, tune in. You're going to be needing to look at your screen here in just a second. So change blindness. Let's talk about it because this is very interesting. Our brains can't process every detail in a scene at once, so we often focus our attention on certain aspects, right? If something outside of our focus changes, like an object appearing or disappearing, or a color changing, or even a color being replaced, we may not notice it, right? Especially if that change happens during a disruption like a light flicker or a cut of the screen or somebody briefly walking in front of us, right? We're not going to catch all of those things that are happening. And this phenomenon that I'm talking about is called change blindness. And these are experiments that are designed to study when, why, and how often people miss these changes. So today I want to demonstrate this because I thought that this was super interesting, but it also drives the point home of situational awareness and what we're being able to capture and perceive in the moment of our day-to-day life. So what I'm going to do is I am going to flash an image up on the screen. Now I want you to take a look at this image. Try to absorb everything that you possibly can about it. I'm going to give you 5 seconds to do so, and then I'm going to pull the image off. Now, after I pull that image off, and as you're looking at this image, I want you to count how many things that you are observing. Okay, just want you to try to take that photographic memory and put it into practice today. All right. Now, again, 5 seconds. I'm going to flash it up and then I'm going to take it off. Okay. Okay, I'm going to put that same exact picture up on your screen and I want you to see what things that you notice that are different. Okay. All right. Throw in the chat. What are some things, and I've got the chat box open, what are some changes that you noticed from picture A to picture B? And I'll flash the picture back up with those highlighted in just a second. Okay, good. These are all filtering in. I'm interested to see what people picked up versus what maybe you didn't as these comments come in. No book sign. The crosswalk image isn't there in the second image. Okay. The walking symbol was removed. Yep, one-way sign. Book sign, pedestrian light missing, road sign missing. Okay, you guys, this is good. All right. Now, look at this again. Did you see everything that I have circled that got changed? Okay. A couple of these took me a second, a lot longer than 5 seconds to try to observe. Okay, so let's walk through it. So some of you guys said that there was no light sign, there was no street sign. Did you notice that this gal's hair was down in the first picture, and in the second picture, she has it in a ponytail. In these pedestrians in the background, there was only one gentleman here, and there is now a second. And this one was a big one, right? This was a book store. And then there's some things happening in front, and definitely not a tree or plant. Okay, good. It looks, let me check the chat box again and let's see. Okay, yep, so there was a couple. It wasn't in English. Yes. Hey, Angie, that's a good catch as well. So there's a couple that perhaps maybe you didn't see before. Some of these were a little bit more sneaky, like that ponytail or the second pedestrian in that background, clear back there. However, this drives that point home even further, right? When we talk about change blindness, things that maybe we saw or focused on or tried to find. When I told you that there was going to be things changing, did your eyes immediately go to the cars or the people on the crosswalk, right? But other things were happening in the background. Maybe you just didn't pick up on it. Okay, I've got something further on in the slides that will drive this point home even further. Another exercise, so I'll keep you on your toes. All right, so with situational awareness, there's 3 levels to it. Super easy to remember. First is perception, noticing critical elements in the environment. Second is comprehension, understanding what those elements mean. And the third is projection, so predicting what will happen next. Now, I understand that nobody has a crystal ball. Life would be a lot easier if we all did. However, when we do this projection, it allows us to come up with a couple of different scenarios that may happen so that if one does take its course, then we're not caught off guard as if we hadn't thought about it in beforehand. So it puts us in a better situation. So let's talk about some real life scenarios. These are ones that I'm sure many of us have come across. So for driving, for instance, the first perception, you see a ball rolling into the street, right? What's automatically popping up into our head when that ball rolls into the street? Take to the chat box. What is the comprehension part of this? What does that mean when we see that? Take a guess. Wondering where the kid is. Maureen, yeah, right off the bat. Exactly, right? The comprehension part. Yep, likely that a child will be running into the road. Is it a child chasing it or a dog? Okay, these are great. So let's start off again. Perception, you see the ball rolling into the street. The comprehension, the second part is a child may be chasing it or a dog. And the third is the projection, right? You anticipate that there's a child or a dog running out, so you slow down, right? Even if you are still going the speed limit, you still slow way down to avoid if this is the case, right? Maybe it's just a loose ball rolled out of somebody's driveway and nobody's chasing after it, right? Either way, this awareness helps you avoid an accident, okay? Let's do it again. Walking in the city, right? If we're downtown. You notice that somebody is following you closely for several blocks. Okay, this is the perception. The comprehension is this could be unusual behavior, perhaps not a coincidence. However, in my life, I've found myself in this circumstance, right? And I thought, oh, maybe this might be unusual, maybe it's not, and we're just going to the same place. Either way, I took it even a step further. Number 3 is projection, right? You decide to change direction. You enter a public space or get somebody on the phone just for safety, right? Talking to them, telling them where you're at. And ultimately, just like that first scenario that we talked about, awareness helps protect you from potential harm. Okay, let's drive this point home with the last scenario I want to talk about is using technology, right? Situational awareness isn't just in person, physically, but it can also happen virtually and electronically. Perception. You get an email from your bank asking for personal information. Second, the comprehension piece. The email has typos and a suspicious link, right? I feel like all of us should be on our toes with these. The county definitely tests us with those emails that come through our inbox, making sure that we are very situationally aware with these type of things. So the comprehension and then the projection. If you click it, you could be scammed, right? So awareness ultimately protects you from identity theft or stealing personal health information or whatever it may be when it comes to your job and what you're dealing with. Okay. All right. So let's talk about personal safety. I feel like this is the number one thing that we think about when I say the phrase situational awareness. We automatically go to how can I keep myself safe, right? And that's the point here today. So situational awareness is important for personal safety because it is the foundation for recognizing, one, avoiding and responding to potential threats. We talked about this previously. And it's the idea to respond to them before they escalate. So ultimately, it means paying attention to what's happening around you and then interpreting those cues and anticipating what happened next. It all goes back to those three levels, right? Perception, comprehension, projection. So here's why it matters. Early detection of danger, number one, right? Being alert allows you to notice unusual behavior or environmental risks or red flags, just like what I just said, somebody following you too closely, or taking it the same exit as you that you noticed that they've been following you for some time. Now, I've done this in my neighborhood where it just happens to be a neighbor, right? That they were going home after a long day of work, just like I was. However, in that situation, I just decided to drive past my house just in case, and then I circle back around, right? I'm not anxious. However, I'm just making sure I have that projection that allows me to be in control of the situation. Now, this next point that I want to talk about, projection over reaction, ties perfectly into that. It's safer and easier to avoid a dangerous situation than to fight your way out of one, right? We want to be able to avoid it first. And awareness gives you the chance to cross the street, leave an area, or seek help before something escalates. We talked about faster, better decision making under stress, right? Empowerment is one that I really want to hopefully aid you with today, is instead of feeling helpless or reactive, situational awareness gives you the sense of control, right? Knowing that you're tuned into your environment builds confidence in you and in your ability to stay safe. So think of it like driving. Defensive drivers don't just watch their own car, right? They scan the road, they check mirrors, and anticipate what others might do. The same thing goes with situational awareness, and it works the same for personal safety. So, like I had mentioned last night, we attended a self-defense training, and this goes to the question that I have posed on the screen. When is the last time that you paid attention to that gut feeling, right? I feel like everyone here has had one of those experiences, whether you were in a parking garage or walking by yourself or even walking with a group, and you had a gut feeling that was like, maybe I shouldn't take that elevator, or maybe I shouldn't take that stairwell. In the self-defense training last night, the instructor stated that if you have that gut feeling to not get on that elevator or to not take that stairwell, but perhaps you're trying to be considerate, like somebody's holding the elevator doors open for you, or somebody's holding the door to the stairwell, or you don't want to inconvenience your group because you have a gut feeling, right? Please follow that gut instinct, is what the instructor said last night, right? Follow that gut instinct, and then be nice later. Have the opportunity to be nice later, but first trust that and put your safety first, right? Don't put being considerate or kind above your personal safety and ignore that gut feeling is ultimately what I'm hoping to relay there. Okay, a few things that can affect our situational awareness is missing key cues, fixating on one task. I know that I can definitely find myself having a one-track mind. Lack of communication. This comes in where we know that we're going out somewhere, whether it's by ourselves or maybe with a new friend or on a date, whatever it may be, and we don't tell somebody that we're doing that, right? We don't need somebody to keep tabs on us or track us, right? However, it is part of that situational awareness that somebody knows where you're ultimately going to be, especially if it's outside of a regular thing that you do, right? Um, Another one is mind wandering, daydreaming, and disassociation. Have you ever gotten in the car after a day at work and you've driven the same road a million times, and then all of a sudden you pull into your driveway or parking garage or wherever you are at your next stop, and you put your vehicle in park or you get off the bus and you say, "Wow, I don't even remember how I got here," right? That is definitely something that can affect our situational awareness because our brain is on autopilot, right? Other things that can encourage losing situational awareness is repetitive tasks that feel monotonous throughout our day, right? We feel like we've done this a million different times. What could be different about this one time? And then the last one that I want to mention before moving on is that feeling of overconfidence, right? There is, and I'll talk about this in a moment. And it is important to have confidence and purpose when we are going to specific locations, but saying to yourself, "Oh, well, nothing's ever happened to me, so that means that nothing can happen," right? It can be as simple as that scenario that I provided to you where the ball rolls into the road, right? Um, Having that overconfidence and saying, "You know what, this has never happened, so it won't," can cause some issues for us down the road if that's the case. So there is a line to be drawn with being confident and having purpose, but also overconfidence. Okay. Now, like I said, I have another exercise for you guys to engage in. Let me make sure that I have my sound shared as well. So I am going to stop sharing really quick and make sure I share with audio. Okay, perfect. Now, this video will explain exactly what you're going to do, and then we'll talk about it after. The first few moments don't have sound, so hang on for just a second.
Here's your challenge. How many people in orange shirts get subs? Go. Seven people in orange shirts got subs. But what else did you see? Did you notice the ice cream truck change to a pizza truck? Did you notice the glasses? What about the man leaving the suspicious package next to the truck? Your next challenge? Be aware of your surroundings. If you see something suspicious,
Okay, how many of us noticed all of those other things that were happening? Take to the chat. I want to know. Did anybody else notice that ice cream truck turning into the pizza truck, or noticed okay, Angie did, or noticed the bag drop off, or noticed that Okay, and maybe some of us counted more people getting subs than what was in the video. Okay, Trudy, I only saw. Okay. Interesting, right? Isn't that so interesting that we were told, right, to count how many people were in orange shirts were getting subs, right? Obviously, we knew our task, but that our brain is so focused on seeing that we've tuned everything else out in the background. So again, same thing when it comes to our situational awareness, right? I'm going to talk in an upcoming slide about being alert and not anxious and the difference between those. But super interesting what our brain pays attention to and what it doesn't. Um, I love these comments. Thank you guys for putting in the chat. Okay, so how to improve our situational awareness, because that's ultimately why we're here. We want to get better at this part of being aware. So let's stay focused and avoid distractions. What does that look like on a normal basis for us? Ultimately, the one thing that we see and is at the top of the list is our phones. I remember when my sister had barely gotten her first phone. And I believe I was in junior high, she was in high school, and we were going to my brother's baseball game. And she was on her phone and she flat out walked right into a pole. Like I'm talking in the cartoons where your whole body wraps around, where your legs stick out, right? Perfect example of how phones can be distracting. How many times have you bumped into somebody while walking because you were trying to shoot a quick text? Or whatever that may be. Okay, so limiting those distractions when we're out and about. Practice active observation. I'm going to talk about what that looks like in just a second. Third, ask what if questions, right? So it goes back to the 3 levels and trying to predict an outcome of certain circumstances before they happen. Like I had mentioned earlier, sharing information with your team and your family about things. This can be as simple as, like for instance, the employee wellness team. We go all over the county, and we're all coming from different areas of the valley as well, but messaging each other and saying, hey, there was this crash, traffic's backed up, right? So knowing what's going on ahead of you and then being able to either avoid that or plan for it. That can be something as simple as that. Using checklists and standard operating procedures, we see this time and time again with work in general, best practices, and they are there for a reason, and that goes to situational awareness. Continuously reviewing and assessing your environment and mental plans in place, making that note and saying, okay, if this happens, then what will be my next move type of deal. And then ultimately, we're getting better at that rapid decision making instead of saying, "Oh, I'm caught off guard by this. Now what do I do?" Perhaps the next time we find ourselves in that situation, we've used the 3 levels of situational awareness and have slightly predicted that maybe somebody or something has changed, and now we can not be reactive to it, but then make our next decision. Okay, I've hinted to this slide this whole entire time, and when it comes to situational awareness, I think that it can draw up some feelings of anxiousness, right? However, the goal of situational awareness is calm confidence. It's not hypervigilance or fear. It really comes down to balancing awareness with mindset, right? It's all about our perception. So think curious, not fearful, right? Instead of scanning for danger, frame it mentally as simply noticing the details around us and what those details might mean. This can keep you observant, right? Without triggering that anxiety piece. So we don't want our eyes to dart around, right? Like, oh my goodness, they're constantly like looking around. We just want to keep that nice flow, keeping our head on that 360 swivel, right? And not only just observing things in front of us, but also all of the things that are around us and behind us, right? So we want to see awareness as empowerment, right? That's my goal today for you, is that you feel empowered, that you're building skills that increase safety and control, and reminding yourself that it is about preparation and not paranoia. Okay, these boundaries are important. And when it comes to setting boundaries, you can draw a line, right? It's okay to turn down the volume of situational awareness when you're truly in safe places, right? You see behind me, I'm in my home. I know who's in my home. I know what doors are open or closed or what windows are open and locked. And I can turn that volume down when I know I'm in a safe place. And that's up to you to identify what those are to ultimately help prevent that fatigue of situational awareness. Again, I want to go back to the defensive driving idea. We think of it like driving. Good drivers stay aware of the road and other cars that are on the road, but we're not gripping the wheel, white knuckling it, right, with panic the whole time. The practice with situational awareness becomes second nature, alert, yet relaxed. Now, we are closing up here. However, I wanted to provide you with some additional details to help build up your situational awareness. So those that are attending right now, I'll send out a follow-up email with all of this information. Practice makes improvement with situational awareness, and one of those things is this observe, orient, and describe practice. You pick a place to practice, you observe silently, and then you ask yourself what seems to be out of place. What patterns or behaviors seem normal here? Objects of danger or maybe usefulness to you. And then you want to close your eyes and turn away, right? Or just turn away from what you were just looking at. And you want to ask yourself, how many people were around? What color shirts did they have on? What activities were taking place? And then two objects that stood out. Again, I'll send out these slides so you can have the details. Then extra challenge that is while you're driving, right? If you're a passenger, or a driver, right? Memorizing license plates by a glance, observing body language, and even at the grocery store, right? Estimating how many people are in each aisle without directly counting, right? So there's so many opportunities for you to increase your situational awareness in every place that you find yourself in. And lastly, I have a 7-day situational awareness plan to give out to help ultimately increase your confidence in situational awareness so that you feel empowered to be more observant in your situations. And ultimately, we want you to be alert but not anxious when it comes down to it. So that is all that I have for you today. I appreciate everyone hopping on and joining me in this conversation. I hope you feel a little bit more empowered and perhaps a little challenged to take note of how you feel with your situational awareness right now and how you can improve that. I'll send that follow-up email. Does anybody have any questions or any comments before we end today? Okay, none are jumping out right now. I appreciate you guys for your time. This recording will be up on our employee wellness website and available to you on Well Steps as well. So be sure to stay engaged with our September program throughout the month. I hope to see you at various activities or some more workshops. And I am here for a couple more moments if anybody needs anything from me. Thanks, everyone.